Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are tackling something that, well, it can feel totally out of our control, our emotions.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, that feeling like your whole day, maybe even your whole life, is just dictated by these internal forces you just have to put up with.
It's like there's this mystical power that just happens to you, but really the biggest thing holding us back is that we just don't understand where they come from or, how they actually work.
Exactly. So today we're giving you the shortcut. We're doing a deep dive into Thibaut Meurisse's work on emotional mastery. It's an incredibly practical guide.
It really is. And it's not just a list of tips. It gives you the actual formula for changing those really deep-seated emotional habits.
What I love about it is that it comes from a real place. The author talks about his own journey, starting out as an introvert who was really held back by shyness.
Right. And the whole point of his work is to help you go from being a passenger, just overwhelmed by feelings, to becoming the driver, to actually using your emotions as tools for growth.
So our mission today is to give you that playbook. We're going to cover the evolutionary reasons for your struggles, the levers you can pull right now to change how you feel, and then the three-step formula to transform any negative emotion.
Let's jump in.
Okay, so let's start with what might be the most frustrating truth of all. Your brain's main job is not to make you happy.
Not at all. That's the hard reality we have to start with. Our basic hardware is built for one thing: survival, not joy.
And that's the root of our negativity bias, right?
Exactly. For our ancestors, it was way more important to spot the one snake in the grass than to, appreciate the 20 types of berries they found. Survival meant focusing on the threat.
Which is why today we can get 100 positive comments, but we'll spend all night thinking about the one negative one.
Precisely. That ancient wiring is still there. Think about fear of rejection. Millennia ago, being rejected from the tribe was a death sentence.
A real physical threat.
A huge one. Now, that same fear pops up as massive anxiety when you have to give a presentation. The pain feels real, but the danger is just an echo.
And modern life has found ways to exploit that, hasn't it? With the whole dopamine trap.
Oh, it's a huge trap. Dopamine is the seeking chemical. It drove our ancestors to hunt for food.
And now?
Now it drives us to check our phones every 30 seconds for a new notification. Each like is a tiny little hit of dopamine. It's pleasure for a moment, but it's not deep fulfillment.
It's a shallow loop.
It is, and it often leads to more anxiety because you're always looking for that next external hit.
This feeds right into what the book calls the one day I will myth. The idea that if I just get the promotion or the new car, I'll finally have lasting happiness.
But the research just doesn't back that up. There's this powerful concept called hedonic adaptation.
Okay, what's that?
It's basically the brain's reset button. There are studies that followed people who won the lottery and people who had terrible accidents.
Two complete extremes.
Right. And what they found is that after a while, maybe a year or so, both groups tended to return to whatever their baseline level of happiness was before the event.
Wait, you go back to your baseline even after winning the lottery? That's kind of shocking.
It is, isn't it? But we adapt. The brain craves novelty. That shiny new car just becomes your car. So if your internal attitude is already negative, winning the lottery just means you're a negative person with more money.
So real lasting happiness has to come from the inside, from our interpretations.
Exactly. Which brings us to the role of the ego in all this. And by ego, we don't mean being arrogant.
Right. It's more like your constructed identity, the story you tell yourself about who you are.
That's it, exactly. And here's the key insight. The suffering doesn't come from the raw emotion itself. It comes from the story your ego attaches to that emotion.
So a problem only exists in your mind.
Because it's tied to an interpretation. The feeling of sadness, for instance, is temporary. It comes, it stays for a bit, it goes.
But if we tell ourselves, I'm a failure because I feel sad,
then you make the suffering stick. You've attached your identity to a temporary feeling. Recognizing that emotions are just passing weather is a huge first step.
Okay, so that gives us the foundation. We know our brains are biased toward negativity, and we adapt to external things. So let's pivot to what we can actually control.
Yes, the levers. Because while some reactions are instant, most of our emotional states are heavily influenced by things we can change right now.
And the quickest way to do that is physically, right? Starting with sleep.
Sleep is non-negotiable. And it's not just about how many hours, it's about the quality and the consistency.
I mean, I know I get grumpy if I don't sleep well, but what's actually happening?
Well, when you're sleep deprived, your body produces more cortisol, the stress hormone, and it directly messes with your prefrontal cortex.
Which is the part that helps you regulate emotions.
Exactly. You are literally making it harder for your brain to feel joy. The simple stuff matters. A totally dark room, no screens, an hour before bed. It's basic, but it's powerful.
That makes a lot of sense. What about body language? Can just standing differently really change how I feel?
The research says yes, it's a really fast-acting lever. Just standing tall, shoulders back, a confident posture. It doesn't just make you feel more powerful, it can actually change your hormones.
So that power pose before a big meeting isn't just a silly trick.
No, it's a physiological adjustment. And if you combine that with long-term exercise, you're building a huge buffer against stress.
The source material says for mild depression, exercise can be as effective as antidepressants.
It can, because it releases all those feel-good neurochemicals, endorphins, serotonin, in a balanced, natural way.
Okay, and then there's breathing, the thing we do all the time without thinking about it.
It's your on-demand emergency brake. When you're anxious, your breathing gets shallow and fast. That just reinforces the panic.
A fight or flight response.
Right. But if you consciously slow it down, like a slow inhale through the nose, hold, and then a long exhale, you are sending a direct signal to your nervous system that you are safe. It's an instant veto on panic.
So those are the physical levers. Let's talk about the mental ones, starting with our thoughts, the whole garbage in, garbage out idea.
It's so true. If you're constantly telling yourself, I'm so awkward, your brain will actively look for evidence to prove you right. It creates a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And this is where affirmations come in, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do them.
Yes. Most people say something like, I hope I will be confident one day.
Which is all about the future, and it frames it as something you lack right now.
Exactly. The rules are simple. Use the present tense, I am confident, and avoid negatives. Don't say, I will stop being messy.
Say, I am organized.
I am organized. You repeat that, and you start to condition your subconscious mind to accept it as true.
We also have to talk about environment. Not just our physical space, but the people and the media we let in.
Your environment is constantly sending you messages. Physical clutter, for example, is mental clutter. It creates this low-grade stress.
So decluttering your desk is actually an act of emotional hygiene.
It absolutely is. And that goes for your social environment, too. Limiting time with people or media that just drain your energy is crucial.
The last quick lever is music. It seems simple, but it's so direct.
It's like a direct phone line to your emotional brain. You can use it strategically. Need to focus? Put on something instrumental. Need a shot of confidence before a workout.
Something with a strong beat and powerful lyrics.
Right. Don't just listen passively. Build playlists to actively create the state you want to be in.
These are great for in-the-moment changes. But for lasting mastery, we need to understand the formula for how these deep emotions get built in the first place.
This is the core of it all, the emotional formation formula. It says that any strong, entrenched emotion follows 3 steps: interpretation, identification, and repetition.
Okay, let's walk through an example. Let's say your boss sends you a sharp, critical email about a project.
Perfect. Step 1 is interpretation. The email is just a fact. It's words. But your interpretation is what creates the emotion. You could see it as, this proves I'm terrible at my job.
Or, this is useful feedback on one specific task.
Exactly. And that choice of interpretation is everything. If you choose the negative one, you move to step 2, identification.
Which is where you start to really latch onto the feeling.
You focus on that initial shock and anger, and you start to believe the thought, I am a failure. You tell your partner about it, you reread the email 10 times. The emotion is no longer just passing through, you're holding on to it.
And that leads to step 3, repetition.
Right. The next time anything similar happens, your brain just defaults to that same pattern. The thoughts and the feelings become an automatic, entrenched habit.
So to change the emotion, you have to interrupt that cycle. And the source says the most powerful place to intervene is at the interpretation stage.
It's the master lever. Because negative emotions always come from our interpretation, not the event itself. Think about a rainy day.
It could be a disaster that ruins your picnic, or a perfect excuse to stay inside and read.
The rain is the same. The emotion is a choice based on your interpretation.
So how do we actually do that? How do we let go when that interpretation feels so real and automatic?
You have to create some mental distance. The key is to remember you are not the emotion. You are the one observing the emotion.
So instead of, I am angry,
You'd say, I am experiencing feelings of anger. It's a small change in language, but it creates a huge space. You can watch the anger come and go without attaching your entire identity to it.
And to make this a new habit, you have to actively train for positivity. It doesn't just happen.
No, it's active work. Things like a daily gratitude journal, visualizing your goals, or keeping what the author calls a win log.
A win log.
Yeah, just documenting your accomplishments, no matter how small. It forces your negatively biased brain to search for and register the positive, which builds a new narrative over time.
This brings up a really important point. Why do we even have these negative emotions if they cause so much trouble?
Because they're not trouble, they're signals, they're guides. Every negative emotion is a message that your current interpretation of reality might be a bit off, or that something needs to change.
So anxiety isn't there just to stop you in your tracks.
No, it's telling you something. Maybe you're unprepared, or maybe you're just interpreting a challenge as a threat. We need to learn to decode the message instead of just trying to kill the messenger.
And a big part of that decoding is understanding if we're acting out of fear or out of love.
That's a powerful framework. Are your actions coming from a place of fear, like trying to get everyone's approval or avoiding conflict? Or are they coming from a place of love, a desire to contribute, to connect, to grow? It clarifies your motivation.
Okay, let's get really specific. How do we transform something like stress and worry?
The first step is to realize that stress isn't in the deadline or the traffic jam. It's your personal response to it. So write down your stressors, but then identify the belief behind the stress.
Like, if I miss this deadline, I'm a total failure.
Exactly. Once you see the belief, you can challenge it. You can shift from, I'm a victim of this stress, to, what is this stress asking me to do differently?
What about resentment? That one feels like a poison.
The famous quote is that resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. It only hurts you.
And it comes from unmet expectations, right?
Almost always. You expected one thing, they did another, and you never actually communicated that. The only way out is forgiveness, and not for them. For you. It's about freeing yourself from having to carry that weight anymore.
Okay, now for a really tough one. Jealousy. How can that possibly be a positive guide?
Jealousy is just desire in a disguise. It's a bright, flashing arrow pointing directly at something you want for yourself.
So instead of letting it make you bitter,
You use it as a map. You shift from a competitive mindset to a collaborative one. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this person? What skills do they have that I admire? It becomes motivation for your own growth.
and the big one everyone deals with, procrastination.
This is huge. Procrastination is almost never a time management problem. It is an emotional regulation problem.
We're not lazy, we're scared.
We're scared. We put things off because the task makes us feel bad. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, maybe just boredom or frustration. The way to beat it is to find your why, your real motivation, and then make the first step so ridiculously small that the fear doesn't even have a chance to kick in.
And finally, that nagging feeling of inadequacy.
Inadequacy loves a vacuum. It thrives when you only focus on your mistakes, so you have to fight it with data.
The win log you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Keep a running list of your accomplishments, compliments you've received, problems you've solved. It creates an objective record that proves your negative self-talk is lying. And you have to learn to actually accept a compliment when you get one. Let it in.
This has been an incredibly practical deep dive. It really connects the dots between our old evolutionary programming and the things we can do today.
If you take away just two things, it should be these. First, your brain has a built-in negativity bias for survival. You have to accept that and work with it.
And second, every emotional pattern is built on that three-step cycle: interpretation, identification, and repetition.
And you can break that cycle.
You have the power to do it right now. You can change your posture. You can reframe one single thought. You can take 5 slow breaths. These simple levers are where emotional agility begins.
Exactly. Just remember that emotions are temporary guides. They are not who you are. And maybe the final thought to leave you with is this: motivation doesn't last.
That's a big one.
It is. You can't just wait for inspiration to strike. The real key to long-term emotional well-being is building small, consistent, daily habits and rituals that support the person you want to be. It's about daily effort.
So today, just commit to one small ritual. Maybe it's a 3-minute breathing exercise in the afternoon, or writing down one win before you go to sleep. Start there, make it a habit, and just watch what happens. Until next time, keep digging deep.